like a bouncing ball. The more we can bounce back and the quicker we can bounce back, the less effect a change or a misfortune has on us. And I don't know about you guys, but I'm very interested and always stay interested in becoming stronger and more resilient. And a lot of the concepts I'll be talking about in today's training come from a book called Who Moved My Cheese. You may be familiar with it or even have read it in the past. If you haven't read it, it's a very quick read, an easy read, and one of those books that at the end of it you go, oh, okay, and it gives you that aha moment. The author of that book is Spencer Johnson, and it does come in paperback. So let's go ahead and start this training, and I'll tell you what our objectives are for today. We're going to be talking about the nature of change. In order to understand why change affects us so much, we have to understand what causes change and how it affects us emotionally and biologically. Then we're going to talk about change management strategies, and then connection with that, when we're dealing with change, the more we have a good understanding of how to use our time, then we can deal with change effectively. And then finally, as I already mentioned, we are going to talk about resiliency techniques and how to adapt to change and maintain your motivation. In order to become more resilient, we have to become better aware and more understanding of what change is. And I hope by the end of this training you'll have some positive and appropriate options on how to approach change at work and other parts of your life as well. Okay. Sometimes we have time to prepare for change, and then sometimes we don't. So when life throws us a curveball or we don't have that time to prepare, it can be very, very unsettling. But while this is true that some changes we don't have time to expect or they just all of a sudden are right there, we do have control and flexibility on our response. Let me say that again. We might not have control or a say-so when a change comes in our life, but we do have control over and flexibility about our response to a change. So I'd like for you to keep that in mind as we're talking about change. So let's get started and get into this. So I know we're on the telephone today, but if we were in a room together, I would sit down and ask you these 3 questions. And in means of the first question, what kind of changes do we face at work? My guess is that I might hear answers like concerns about sequestration, increased workload, and less manpower. For the second question, what kind of changes are you facing in your life? Well, I might get some responses that, technology has made your life easier to stay connected with people. Sometimes you feel time's moving too fast. Then I probably would hear, wow, it's really hard to keep up with everything that has to be done. And some of the changes in your life are for the better, and some of the changes you're not so sure about. So that brings us to the third question of what feelings come up when we're dealing with change. And for most of us, when we think about change, my hunch is I would get both positive, it can be exciting, or negative, it can be pretty scary and fearful. So it does bring both sides of the coin when we're dealing with change. And why is change such a powerful word? Because biologically, we really are creatures of habits as human beings. We tend to experience change as a loss or a disruption, and not the other side of an opportunity or adventure. Our first reaction is, ooh, what happened to the way I used to do things? We are safest when we're in established norms, and we know what to expect. So change forces us to redefine those norms, redefine the way we do things, and recommit to a new way of doing things and new ideas and new thinking. And change forces us to be adaptable when we might not be ready to do so. So as we go through this training and we talk about change management techniques and time management and resiliency, I'd like for you to take a second right now, and I'll be quiet for about 20 seconds, to write down or think in your mind about a change you've recently gone through or going through or going to be going through, one that you know is coming down the pipes or one that you're right in the thick of. If you could think of how you are dealing with that right now and keep that change in mind, I'd like for you to apply these techniques and the information we talk about today to that change. So I'm going to be quiet for just a second while you write that down. Okay, I hope you had a second to write down what change you're dealing with, anticipating, maybe in the thick of right now, and can use these ideas as we move forward to address that change and see where you're at with it. As I mentioned before, some of the information in this training is from a book of Who Moved My Cheese. And in this book, it talks about the different roles that we take on when we're in the midst of a change. And I'm going to go through the 4 different responses, or the common roles that people play out in conjunction with change. The first one is the investigator. And the investigator is really pretty neutral about the change they're facing. They need more information, more data in order to understand what's happening. And they want to get in more information, get answers, and just keep adding to the pile of information before they're going to take a stance whether the change is going to be negative or positive. So again, just like it says on the screen, they're seeking information, wants to know what's going on, and has begun to explore the change and is open to it, but has just opened the door. They haven't gone through that door. The opportunist, he's positive about change, or she's positive about change, and he's optimistic about things in the future will be better, and there's better days ahead for themselves, and they will advance due to this upcoming change. So the opportunist looks at this individually and saying, this is going to be good for me. I know I'm going to make it through, and they look at it as an opportunity, just like it says. The next role you might find yourself, or have been when you've dealt with a change, is the resistor. And this is a tough place to be. This person's quite negative and doesn't like change at all. Their reaction to change can be something like, why now? Everything was going just fine. Why couldn't it stay the same? And they will very vocally say, I don't like this one bit. And this person really is going to have the hardest time with change because of their anger and their frustration and their resistance. That kind of, it's like they're hitting their head against a wall, hoping the door stays shut and the door is going to be open with the change coming. So as it says on the screen, they feel angry, frustrated, they complain a lot, and they act out in counterproductive ways. So if you're in that resistor mode with changes that you're dealing with, look at one small piece of the change that you can begin to glimmer that might be a little bit better, just to begin to get out of that resistor role. Or also make the comment to yourself as, this change is coming. While I might not like it, I've got to move forward with it and adapt. Finally, that brings us to the 4th role, and this is the adapter. The adapter is like the opportunist in that he's positive, but not only does he see that there's an opportunity for advancement or growth or good outcome for themselves, they also see it as a positive step for an entire team or a family. They want to help others get on board with this change. The adapter actually likes change and sees it as an adventure with new possibilities. So the adapter is kind of like the cheerleader in the group. They're going to be the one who's going to be going around saying, come on guys, we can do this. It's going to get easier if we all rally together. So not only are they seeing it positive for themselves, they're pulling the group together. So again, with that all said, thinking about those 4 roles, I'd like to just remind you that you do have a choice in the role that you pick when you're dealing with change. Again, you might not have a choice when the change came at you, so to speak, or that it's there to stay, but you do have a choice of which role you'd like to pick. And as I probably have hinted to you, being the adapter is a really good role to be in, not just in your work life, but also in your home life. We want to be an adapter to change and of change. If we are in that role, we're going to have a chance of acting more positive towards a change and to grow from that change and benefit from the experience. I know I've said this before, but I'm going to say it one more time for emphasis. You might not have a control over when a change comes in your life, but you can choose your reactions. All right. So again, I bet if we were sitting together, I'd have somebody raise their hand, or I'd see some facial expression saying, well, not all changes are so good. You're absolutely right. Some changes come to our work life and our home life that at the time when they come, we can't see anything positive, and we don't see how they could be in for our good or in our best interest. Perhaps you're even thinking of earning less pay and still trying to meet your established bills that come due every month. Perhaps working more with less people, or not being able to provide services to your customers that you were able to in the past, and you kind of question the value of your services because there's been budget cuts, so you can't offer as much as you used to. And these are all frustrating situations, no doubt. Or when I left out, how about now you have a new manager because your manager was downsized or left the company, and you don't know quite how to read this new manager. It is normal to struggle with the change when it comes up and we don't feel like we have control. However, staying stuck in that resistance and anger is not to our best benefit. Especially now with the furlough situation, you probably have some additional strain on you. That's out of your control. What can you do to make it better for yourself? To try to keep focused on the goals that you have in place or readjust your goals when you're dealing with a difficult time is a very good strategy to take, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Think about the goals that you have for yourself in your own life, in your job. Are you still on track with those goals? Maybe not financially at this point in time, so what do you have to do to get on track financially? Are you on track in your career? Are you on track in where you'd hope to be with your family at this or relationship at this time? One of the things that I think is important when we're dealing with uncertain times, I've already mentioned one mantra, so to speak, and that mantra was, I don't have control over when change comes, but I do have control of how I react to it. That's mantra number one. Mantra number two, just a suggestion today for you to take away, is when you're dealing with times of uncertainty, thinking outside of the box and being resourceful. Those are keys to reach your goals, create new goals, and feel like you have some control. Being resourceful, thinking outside the box. We may have to do things a little differently during times of change. What does that mean to you? So again, as we're talking today, think about those two mantras so far and see if you can apply them to your situation. So, we talked about the 4 roles, but actually, in actuality, dealing with change comes down to 2 possible outcomes. You can choose to be a change victim or a change master. If there were, there's really, I forgot who said it. I should know who said this statement, but there's only 2 things that we can be sure of in life, and that's death and taxes. Well, if there were a contract between employers and employees, that contract would read something like, change is inevitable, that is always going to be around the corner. And just like life, work is a succession of changes, and there's no way to prevent change from occurring. So the real issue is not whether there will be change, but whether how are you going to deal with it when you're faced with it. So that's where we go back to, are you going to be a change master or a change victim? Let's talk about the change victim. The change victim is a person who is unprepared, overwhelmed, and victimized by change. Change victims fall behind and often get ahead. Rarely get ahead. They rarely get ahead. This person has no idea where they're going, or what they want to achieve. They have no idea what their goals are, and they're focused on long-term goals that they're lost sight, or they're not focusing on the short-term goals that need to be done the here and now. We're going to talk about that again, but I'll say it now, is that when you're in a time of change, focusing on the short-term goals gives you a more sense of control than focusing on the long-term goals. So what are your short-term goals that you need to do for this week, this month? The change master. He's the one who recognizes, prepares for, and takes advantage of opportunities and master change. He keeps his eye on his goals, on what he wants to achieve, and is ready to change those goals as he needs to keep moving forward. In times of uncertainty, focusing on the short-term goals is more doable than the long-term goals, as I just said. So where's your focus? Are you a change master or a change victim? Do you know what your short-term and long-term goals are? Short-term goals, they might be right now reducing your weekly expenditure, how much you spend, by 5 to 10%. Might be doing a QuickBook and, not using credit cards right now and just paying everything in cash to see how much you actually spend. Short-term goals at work, that might be looking at a project that you have to do, and its due date is right after Labor Day, and getting it done next week. Long-term goals, those might include something like getting yourself and your family in a position to retire. During times of uncertainty, you may have to extend how many more years you work to make up for lost income due to the furlough or stock market issues. I know for myself, one point in time I was looking to retire at 62. Well, that extended to 65, and now it's at 66, and that's my goal right now. Long-term work goals, and this one's really important. If you aren't on track with where you want to be in your career, and you know where you'd like to get to, what training do you need inside the company and outside the company to get a more desirable position in your agency? Where are you fitting that into your plan? Okay. Long-term goals for your family. Do you have the documents we all need for the security of our family in place? Do you have your will, your advance directive, your power of attorney set up and it's stored in a safe place? These are good documents to always have updated. So you can become a master of change and cope with some of the possible stresses due to change that occur in your life and your work. So let's take a little bit more specific approach on this and look at some techniques that are not going to only help you to adapt and survive during change, but help you continue to grow and thrive. Okay? So let's move a little bit forward. Here are some strategies to become a change master, and they're called the 4 C's. As I mentioned to you before, the adapter role from Whom I Cheese, they love change. They actually thrive on change. Some of you may thrive on change in parts of your life. For myself, I'll share with you that I love doing new adventures. If there's something new out there in the sports world or physical activity, I'm ready to go try it at a minute's notice. But some of you also might be more adaptable in the work world. A new method comes up of doing something, or one-way stops and something new comes up and you're going, great, let's give it a try. So we all have the areas in our lives where we're more adaptable than we perhaps give ourselves credit. The people who are adaptable are hardy individuals, and they remain healthy and productive even during high stress. And those are, again, our change masters. And the 4 things they have in four things they have in common are these 4 C's: commitment, challenge, control, and connection. They embody these 4 ideas. So let's talk about each of them individually. They demonstrate a commitment to their growth and to their careers. They have a sense of meaning and purpose to what they do, and they have a commitment to change and growth. So they know where they want to go in life and with their job, and they're working towards that. They see change as both a challenge and an opportunity. They don't use the fear word. It's not scary. It's a challenge. It's an opportunity. They're energized by change, and they want to take on jobs that stretch their abilities. Connection. They seek support from others, so there's a sense of connection. When we're going through times of change, it's very, very important to have a support group. And at work, they're going to seek out those who also can support them in the change and that they can help and rally around as well. They learn from others around them. They also like to help others. And finally, control. They focus their energy and attention on what they can control. They don't get frustrated on what they can't. And they are constantly looking for new ways to accomplish the goals that they are working towards. And again, yes, this does sound like the adapter person. So they're going to spend their energy on what is changeable and what's in their control and let go of frustration on those things that they can't. So take a second and look at these 4 C's and think about for yourself if you are doing one of these, if you embody one of these characteristics now, or if there's 1 or 2 that you need to work on. Make a note of it for yourself right now. As we finish up this part about the Change Master, I want to read this quote to you, and then I'll open the lines for any questions that you have. When a door closes, another one opens. We've all heard that. But often we stand there so long looking at the closed door that we don't see the one that has opened. So the essence of change mastery is simple, but it's essential to all change management efforts. We have to recognize that we want to commit to ourselves to become a change master. If you keep looking backwards to what was, you're going to miss some opportunities ahead of you. So, word to the wise, keep looking forward. So, let me go ahead and open up the lines before we start talking about other changes we face in our life.
The conference is now in talk mode.
Goodness, I hear lots of noise back there. Does anyone have any questions? I actually hear children. Do I hear children in the background? No? Okay. All right. All right. Well, again, if there's any questions you want to just chat, you can send them in the chat, and I'll respond to them as well. All right. I'm going to close the lines back up, and we'll continue.
The conference is now in silent mode.
All right. So we've been talking about being a change master and the different roles that we can take on. Let's talk a little bit more about the different types of changes that we're faced with in life. And basically, you can break them down into 3 different categories. They're expected changes, unexpected, and planned changes. The expected changes are those changes or those events in our life that we expect to go through as we go through life, including finishing high school, going to college, getting married, having children, changing jobs, and retiring. So while we might not know the exact time frame, we have a general idea. Like I mentioned before, I have a general idea when I'd like to retire that we're aiming for. We feel somewhat of a sense of control. However, some of these changes or life stepping stones can become unexpected ones. We don't graduate college when we want to. We didn't get married to the person we thought we were going to stay married to for the rest of our life, and we wound up getting divorced. We find out we have an illness, a serious illness, or we lose a loved one to a sudden illness or a car accident. Or perhaps we even have to change cities because of a job opportunity for ourselves or for a spouse. Not expected, not in our plan, didn't expect to be dealt that hand, so to speak. And we don't get much time to prepare for this change. And it just feels like our world that we knew yesterday is totally different today. These unexpected changes are going to obviously be much more taxing on us. The expected life changes we can prepare for. Then the third one is what's called the plan changes. These are the ones we say, this is what I'm going to do. It can be anywhere from setting up an exercise program and saying you're going to run your first road race, to losing weight, to planning a trip, to learning a new language, to going back to school, to remodeling your house. You set the plan in motion, and you have total control over moving forward with it in most cases. So we do feel in control of these. But all these changes, once we start them, it does make us feel a little bit unsteady because we are changing the way our world looks, and we're not quite as anchored down as we were before the change happened. And while we're in the midst of making any of these changes, life feels very unsettling. So keep in mind, what kind of change are you dealing with? If it's an unexpected change that you didn't have very much time to prepare for, acknowledge that, wow, your world's kind of topsy-turvy right now, and that's a normal reaction. Okay. So, if we were back in the room together, and let's see, we have a big enough conference room here in Georgia in my office that we could all meet. This looks like about 35 of us online. We could all meet together, have a cup of afternoon coffee. And I said, well, what is the way we manage life changes? How do you manage change? And at this point, I'd be talking about how do you manage stress, because we know that's another equation. Stress equals change, change equals stress. Okay? So I bet we'd come up with a pretty extensive list. Someone might say, well, they exercise, they eat healthy, they give themselves mental breaks. Someone watches TV to de-stress, listen to music, do yoga, play with children, play with pets, write your thoughts down, journaling, play an instrument, go for a walk in the woods, go for a swim. You get the idea. The list is endless. The key to managing how you deal with change and your stress related to change is picking the combination of things that work for you and that you have access to on a regular basis. So, notice it did not say plan a trip and go to Tahiti or Hawaii. That would be on my list, but I can't do that on a regular basis. So it has to be those things that give you that little break and a sense of calmness or comfort on a regular basis. So I bet you know what I'm going to ask. Take a moment now and write down a couple of things that help you to deal with stress or change. I'll give you a second to write those down. All right. So I hope you wrote a couple of things down, how you deal with stress or change. We're going to move on to talking about time management, and then we'll talk about building resiliency, and finally kind of circle back around to talking about changing our perceptions. We just mentioned that in order to take care of ourselves, to adapt to change, we have to become more resilient, and the more healthy we are, more balanced life we are, the more resilient we are. And then we also mentioned that the way we think about a change is going to affect how we cope with the change. So that's our perception, that we have to look at our perception. One of the best ways, and this is another kind of technique that you can hold on to, and I hope it works for you, is that when you're in the midst of a change or a stressful time, think ahead to the future. Maybe go out 3 to 6 months and envision your life 3 to 6 months from now. How does it look after you've kind of gone over this hurdle or gotten through this hurdle and you've figured out this change and what your life or your work is going to look like 3 to 6 months from now? Use that as a coping technique. A lot of people who have used this technique, and myself included, have found it helpful because you give yourself the ability to envision where you want to go, what your life will look like in the future. Excuse me. Another important component of dealing with time management, change management, is how we use our time. I'm going to pause for just a second. Hold on, excuse me. You're not supposed to get coughs when you're doing a webinar, but so I'm sorry. So we're going to talk about time management now, because if we can manage our time better, then we can manage the change that's coming at us full force because we're using our time wisely. So when we use time management on a daily basis, we handle the day-to-day life on a regular basis. Our job and family obligations are handled well. That gives us, again, a better sense of control. So those things that feel like they're out of our control, we have more time and energy to devote to. we're going to take some time to review some important time management techniques to help us to become more effective and in the long run cope with change during these uncertain times. And as we go through these different time management techniques, again, take out that piece of paper and give yourself credit for those techniques that you're doing pretty well at, but also write down those areas that you want to kind of beef up and do a little bit better at. So let's go through them. The first one is time awareness. How do you use your time? Think about the ways you waste your time. How many hours on a weekend do you just sit there mindlessly surfing the web or shopping online at a website that you know you can't or shouldn't buy anything on? How many times during the day do you do duplicate tasks or spend your time on non-productive things? Okay. How much time do you spend on tasks that are low priorities? When you're looking at time allocation or time awareness, it's really, really important to make sure that the energy you're spending is on those things that are high priority and of importance in your life and not the low priority. If you can answer, does it matter if I do this now or 6 months from now? And the answer is yes, it's a low priority. If you answer, does it matter if I do it now or next week? And the answer is yes, you have to do it now, then it's a high priority. So adding that time frame element to that whatever task you're doing is a way to help you look at how important the task is that you're doing. Let's say you want to improve your business writing skills. Where in your calendar of to-do list where is it? Do you have a class that you're looking at taking? Are you in a class? Are you practicing business writing skills once a day, once a week, once a month? They're not going to improve very often if you just do it once a month. Are you trying to find other people whose business skills, writing skills are excellent, and you admire them and want to spend time with them and get some tips from them? Again, that's just an example, but look how much time you're spending towards things that are important. I just mentioned this in conjunction with time awareness is the priorities. Doing your most important tasks first thing is going to be a good use of time. Now, I'm going to contradict that real quickly here, is that for some of us, our most productive time is in the evening. And if you need to do your most difficult tasks in the evening and that's available to you, then and that works for you, stay with it. But for most of us who work a daytime job, our most productive time probably is in the morning versus after lunch or later in the day when we're freshest. So keep that in mind of prioritizing and when are you the most productive. The third technique is partializing, and this is a great one to keep in mind. When you have a huge project that you're hesitant to start because it's overwhelming to you, by breaking it down into smaller and smaller manageable tasks, that's going to be a trick for yourself to be able to accomplish it. Because the smaller a task is, the easier you're going to accomplish it, and soon you'll be adding all those tasks up together to accomplish that bigger goal. If a trick in this is when you write something down and you look at it, and you can say, I can do that, then it's small enough. If you look at a task and go, oh, I can't do that yet, then you need to break it down even more. And you probably want to write all the tasks down to a project in order. And try to put a time frame of how long they may take to do and a deadline for them. You can change the deadline, but by seeing a list of everything you need to get done and starting with the easiest one and building up from there, you get a sense of accomplishment, and that keeps you going. Prepare. I don't know about you guys, but oftentimes when I've started a home project, I think I have everything ready. I get it all out. I'm half an hour into the project and realize I'm missing something and got to go back to Home Depot or the hardware store and get something I forgot. Same thing at work. when you're working on a project at work, make sure you have all the documentation, all the resources, all the emails, all the whatever statistics that you need to get the job done. Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself mentally that you're going to set aside to do this task. If you're in a work setting where you can let others know that you're going to be unavailable for an hour or 2 hours, great. I know some work settings aren't like that. If you can let them know that only contact you for an emergency, that's a second best way of doing it. If you can postpone looking at your emails while you're working on this, that's excellent. You can stay focused. Again, each work situation is different. Then attack the project and work steadily and be realistic of what you're going to accomplish in that hour or 2 hours that you've set aside. Make a goal and aim for it. Okay. When you're working on a project, it's really important to just have that project in front of you. If you're sitting at a desk and you have different piles of other things that are distracting, whether you've looked at them recently or not, those are distractions. They take your focus away from what you're working on. So just working on your desk, if you're sitting at a desk, just have that project in front of you. You've done your 2 hours. You're done with the project for right now. You've done as much as you can. Clear the area, move the project to storage for the time being, and recognize what you've accomplished. At the end of the day, when you leave your work day, make sure your desk is cleared off, or as best possible, neat and organized, and that you know what you're going to be focusing on the next morning. And I know, I'm hearing it already. I can hear it through the phone lines. You guys are saying, but between when I leave and when I start, lots of things change. Understand. But at least you've set in place what things you were going to attempt to start on the next morning and have a plan. That plan may have to change, but at least you did what you could do that day, and you know your starting point is the next day. Okay? The same thing when you get home with your family. Maybe prepare some topics to talk about around the dinner table with your family, or prepare a board game that you want to do, or an evening, a short, inexpensive activity you want to do with your family, or go for a walk after dinner. But by taking the mental break of leaving work behind and then switching gears to spending time in your relationship with your family, that recharges us and energizes us. The last two parts of time management are focus and achieve. I've talked a little about achievement already, but let's talk a little bit about focus. All of us have a tendency to procrastinate or forget that we're supposed to be doing something. We put it off. That's another way of putting it. It's important to look at why you procrastinate and why you don't want to do something. And discover your motivation for this behavior is going to help you to move forward. So be honest with yourself and say, I don't want to work on this project now because, or I don't want to work on this project because. You need more information, you need help. What is it that's keeping you from moving forward? Along with that, look at your work habits. If there's a particular habit or method or procedure that's kind of getting in your way of your ability to complete tasks, try to acknowledge it and work on it. It could be looking at emails every 5 or 10 minutes. What stops you from staying focused? In conjunction with that is, are you always saying yes? You need to learn to say no when you really can't spend time talking to someone, obviously with tact and courtesy. And don't overbook yourself with other projects when they don't fit in with what you're working on. When you are interrupted, someone comes to your door, someone calls you, you get an email, ask if you can respond later. Email? Again, that's work situation. Can you not respond right now? If they come to your door, what can I do for you? You're on the phone with them. Can I get back with you later today? The final part of this is focus is where can you delegate? Some things we can delegate that we don't need to focus on ourselves, whether it's a home project that we can hire someone or someone else does it better than we do, or it's a work project that someone else can help you with. Okay. Another way to look at a chore, just like when we talked about dealing with change in the future, if you're going through a rough time now, what's it going to look like 3 to 6 months from now? It's the same thing with a project or a task. Visualize how that project is going to look done, how you're going to feel when it's all done. The kitchen is painted, the bathroom's remodeled, or that project that you've been working on for 6 months at work is done. That visualization of the future and seeing it finished motivates us to keep moving forward. And then, I can't stress this enough, but you do have to take breaks. We can stay focused for an hour, hour and a half at most for most of us. And then we need a break, 5, 10, 15 minutes, just to stretch our legs, get something to drink, just take a mental break for a few minutes. Okay. And finally, about achieve, take the time to acknowledge your achievements, what you've done, each step along the way, and obviously when a project is done. So I hope those techniques that I mentioned about achieving, focusing, preparing, time awareness, prioritizing, and partializing help you with dealing with change and reaching your goals. I'm going to open up the lines now and see what questions you might have.
The conference is now in talk mode.
What questions does anyone have? No? Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on to the final part of the presentation. I'll go ahead and mute the lines one more time.
The conference is now in silent mode.
Okay. So next we're going to be talking about resiliency. And we've already talked about this a little bit, but we're going to wind up on this and talk finally about how we build resiliency and then our perceptions about change and stress. So resiliency, the definition is, again, one's capacity to cope with stress and catastrophe. Resiliency is the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or even significant sources of stress, such as family, relationship problems, serious family health matters, work or financial stressors. It means bouncing back from difficult experiences. Think of that bouncing ball. And research shows that being resilient is not an extraordinary skill or quality. It's very ordinary. People show resiliency all the time. One example that was, I'm sure many of you watched, or most of us watched, was all the people who came forward at the Boston Marathon bombings back in April. Many people were affected by this tragedy. Many people helped out and stepped in without even thinking about it. And I'm sure you've seen the stories of those people who were affected, who lost limbs, and were interviewed, and how resilient they were and how they were moving forward with their life. That's an example of resiliency. Resiliency does not mean, though, that someone doesn't experience distress. Emotional pain and sadness are very common with people who are resilient and when we face adversity or trauma in our life. The point about resiliency is that we don't get stuck in the negativity or the anger about it. We move forward. So resiliency is something that it's not something that people have or don't have. It is something that we all have. It's a focus, it's a perception of how we're going to deal with what's come our way. So let's talk about how we build resiliency. When we are talking about resiliency, we have to go back to the basics. And the basics are, the more we are able to take care of ourselves on a daily basis, day in, day out, that leaves us more time to be able to be more resilient when those tough changes or situations come to face us. So this is really how we build resiliency, by taking care of ourselves on a regular basis. Physically, what does that mean? We can read the screen with me about being able to eat healthy most days. There's lots of great information out there, not the fad diets, but the good information of how to eat healthy and a balanced meal. Getting regular exercise. Human beings were meant to move. We were not meant to sit at a desk all day and then drive home and then sit at home all night. We were meant to move. Looking at how you relax, whether that's meditation, prayer, just going in nature, listening to music, whatever way you relax, that's important to incorporate it into your day. Limiting the use of alcohol and other substances, including cigarettes. We know these substances are toxic to our body, and prolonged use of any type of chemical could lead to an addiction. And then we have not just one problem of a stressor or change in our life, but now we have the stress and the change, and we may have an addiction. So limiting sources that can be toxic to us is a wise decision. And then finally, adequate sleep and regular screenings. Though it may be a myth that I keep hearing out there, is that as we get older, we think we need less sleep. That is not true. Research proves it over and over again that even no matter how old we get, we need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. So if that's an issue for you, please address it before it takes its toll on you. And then regular screenings, health screenings that are now available to us. Make sure that you put them into your calendar to take advantage of, because little problems can turn into big problems if we don't take care of them. So that's an assurance to ourselves that we're taking care of ourselves. How do we build resiliency mentally? How do you talk to yourself? That voice inside your head, is it negative, neutral, is it positive? Hopefully it's positive. The more we can be our own cheerleader versus being our worst critic, the more we're going to be able to build resiliency. Do you use a sense of humor in your life? Do you look for silliness? Do you enjoy a good belly laugh? Do you know what makes you happy? Incorporate those things in your life. We've already talked about this third one, getting clear about what your values, goals, and priorities are. You may not have them where you could write them down, but I bet if I asked every one of you what your goals and priorities and values weren't, you would be able to tell me. That would leave what your goals and values and priorities are, just as a starting point. Being assertive. For some of us, being assertive is really difficult. We don't like to ask others to help us or for anything. Look around you in your life and see who is assertive and emulate them. Ask them how they are assertive. We know that being assertive is a way that we take care of ourselves, saying what you can and cannot do. And in conjunction with that, continuing to improve your communication skills. The clearer you are in communicating with those at work, in your life, your friends, loved ones, the more you're going to be able to clearly ask for what you need and listen to others as well. And then finally, taking time for mental health, recognizing when you are in overload, recognizing when you need to step back, recognizing when you can't say yes to a project, another volunteer or something, that you need to pull back and just take time for yourself. That's how we build resiliency mentally. Socially, human beings are not meant to be alone. We thrive and get energy, most of us do, from being around people, places, and things that we enjoy. So what are those people, places, and things in your life that bring you joy? Animals, an activity, friends, family, your children, your church activities. Make them part of your life. Find those things that build you up, that when you go there or leave there, you go, oh, that felt great. In order to have those relationships, though, we have to have that clear communication again. And then finally, intimacy is that relationship of trust with a friend or a partner that is beyond just the chitter-chatter. It is that connection that we know that person's behind us and will support us. And that kind of relationship obviously takes time and effort to develop. Spiritually building resiliency. There are many ways that you can build and take care of yourself spiritually, and for many people this is a private way. It could be through meditation, it could be communing with nature, or it could be organized through religion or practicing a faith or prayer. Whichever way works for you, incorporate it. We all need that connection of faith, whatever that means to you, and spirituality. the commitment to just be true to yourself and your own beliefs is a great place to start. And this does build the resiliency, your internal resiliency. So we're kind of winded back up now what we talked about, different ways to build our resiliency, going back to perception. And we talked about this at the beginning of how we look at change, at stress, is if we look at it unrealistically and we have some irrational beliefs about dealing with a change or dealing with a stressor, we really have a distorted perception. If you've said to yourself, well, I should be able to do this new way by now, or I should, why couldn't things stay the same? And you get stuck in those focus, that way you're focusing, that's not going to be helpful to you to move forward. In order to move forward and look at our perception, we have to look at our own self-worth, that if you believe in yourself and you believe that you're able to adapt, that's going to build on your self-esteem. And again, looking at building a positive attitude, that adapter role in dealing with change is going to help you with your perception. And then looking at the situation in a less stress-provoking way, what little piece can you see you can benefit from this? You have to start very small. That's a great place to start. Just keep building on it. Finally, as we've talked before, change is not an option. It's a human condition. And we have the choice to become a change master in our life. We have a choice of how we react to change. We may not have a choice of when that change comes, but our reaction and our flexibility is within our control. As I mentioned at the beginning, I'm with your EAP program, EAP Consultants, and we have counselors all over the country. And you can contact us 24 hours a day to get a referral to talk to a counselor about any issue you'd like, this or any other issue. You have up to 6 free counseling sessions available to you, and they're confidential. Nothing gets back to your company if you've ever used it. If you want to go to the website and request a referral, you can do so also by just going to our website and then put in the password of Interior EAP altogether, INTERIOR EAP, under member access, and you'll see a box that says Request Services. I hope this information was helpful to you. You learned a little bit and gave you a different perspective. I'm going to open the lines one more time for any final questions.
The conference is now in talk mode.
Are there any final questions?
I don't have any questions, but thank you. That was good information.
Okay. All right. I'll stay on the line a little bit. If you don't want to ask a question online, you'd like to answer it through the chat, I'll look at the chats. Okay. Thank you all. Have a good afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.